Everyone thinks running a social media marketing agency means posting content, running some ads, and collecting a monthly check from clients who are happy to have one less thing to worry about. Almost no one knows that in 2026, most of those clients are already halfway out the door before they ever cancel. And by the time the renewal email goes out, the decision was made months ago. It's less client relationship and more slow motion breakup where nobody's told you yet. The problem isn't finding clients. Agencies do that constantly, usually by being suspiciously good at marketing themselves, which, ironically, is the one client they'll never lose. The actual problem is that somewhere around 4 in 10 clients who leave decide to leave within their first 90 days, often for reasons that were never really about the work. And a growing number aren't even bothering to send a breakup text anymore. They're just quietly ghosting their retainer down 20 to 30% at a time toward AI tools and in-house teams, while technically still your client on paper. Here's the part that should make you a little suspicious. Starting this business is almost embarrassingly cheap. A laptop you already own, a handful of monthly subscriptions for scheduling, design, and analytics, and a portfolio built from your own social accounts, or a couple of clients who let you practice on them at a discount. That's the whole shopping list. No factory, no inventory, no dramatic license fee gatekeeping the industry. If a business this easy to start were actually free money, everyone's cousin would already be running one. Several of them probably are. What you can actually charge, though, depends entirely on which rung of the ladder you're standing on, and the range is almost comically wide. A freelancer just starting out might charge $20 to $35 an hour, or a modest retainer somewhere between $500 and $1,500 a month for one or two platforms. A small agency running real strategy, content, and ad management typically lands between $2,000 and $8,000 a month per client, and enterprise engagements, the ones with dedicated teams and matching energy, start around $15,000 to $25,000 a month and keep climbing from there, presumably alongside the number of Zoom calls required to approve a single Instagram caption. Almost every agency eventually lands on the same pricing model, the monthly retainer, and the data explains why with brutal clarity. Retainer-based agencies run roughly 18% annual client churn. Project-based agencies, the ones doing one-off campaigns, run closer to 42%, with relationships lasting less than half as long. In other words, dating is expensive. Marriage, even a slightly resentful one, is cheaper to maintain. Here's the number that should genuinely rattle every new agency owner. Roughly 43% of all client churn happens within the first 90 days, and a meaningful chunk of that traces back to nothing more dramatic than a slow, messy onboarding process. By the time a client officially declines to renew, they've usually been mentally gone for months. The renewal email doesn't decide anything. It's just the funeral invitation for a relationship that quietly died back in month 2. This is the twist that's rewritten the whole industry in the last couple of years, and it's a genuinely funny kind of cruel. Roughly 60% of senior marketing leaders have already cut their agency spending specifically because AI tools now do work that used to require an actual team of humans with opinions. Close to a third of brands expect to bring all their creative work fully in-house within the next year, meaning the intern with a laptop and a chatbot may soon be your biggest competitor. And here's the part nobody wants to admit out loud. Most of this doesn't even show up as a clean, honest cancellation. Clients just quietly shrink the retainer 20 to 30% at a time while remaining technically still a client the entire time, like an ex who never unfollows you but also never texts back. The agencies losing the least to this are the ones who stopped competing on pure execution, scheduling posts basically, and moved towards strategy and judgment, the one thing a chatbot still can't fake convincingly in a client meeting. There's a quieter second business running underneath all of this that most clients never think to question. When an agency manages paid advertising, it typically also charges a management fee on top of the actual ad spend, commonly 10 to 20% of whatever the client is pouring into Meta, Google, or LinkedIn ads. That fee sits completely separate from the retainer, grows automatically the moment a client's ad budget grows, and requires almost no extra effort once the campaigns are already humming along. It's the industry's version of a subscription you forgot you agreed to, except this time, you're the one collecting it. So if you do decide to start a social media marketing agency, understand what you're actually signing up for. Getting in the door is genuinely easy. That part of the dream is completely true, annoyingly so. What's much harder to accept is that most of your future losses won't come from a rival agency stealing your client or from doing bad work. They'll arrive quietly, sometime in the client's first 3 months, courtesy of an AI tool nobody told you they started using. And by the time that renewal email lands in your inbox, it was never really a question. It was just paperwork. And that's the economics they never put on the label.